Join us, the Humanitarian Heartbeat Podcast, on a journey where we delve into the heart of the matters that truly make a difference. Our mission is to create a platform where we can openly discuss topics that often go unnoticed or unexplored. We aim to shed light on these crucial issues and have meaningful conversations. We invite you to tune into our podcast, where we will explore the depths of these subjects and let our hearts guide the conversation. Together, we can create a space where everyone's voice is heard and where we can collectively work towards a better future. Welcome, everyone, to the Humanitarian Heartbeat Podcast. I am your host, Nia Imani, and I have the pleasure of interviewing this distinguished woman, Denise Sears. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Everybody, listen to who she is. She is the president and CEO of SOS International. Wow. She leads an innovative nonprofit addressing global health inequities by repurposing surplus medical supplies and equipment to save lives in the US and around the world. Under her leadership, SOS has expanded its local and global reach and impact, responding to disasters, supporting underserved clinics, and building sustainable health systems, all while reducing waste. Denise brings powerful insight into nonprofit leadership, sustainability, and the human stories behind global aid. Wow. So my first question is, what made you become a humanitarian? Because everything that you do is humanitarian based.
Mm-hmm.
What made you become a humanitarian?
Well, I'd always had an interest in this. Actually, in college, my thesis had been about international foreign aid with a focus on developing countries. Of course, that was a long time ago. And the doors for women getting into that space, it was very challenging. So I ended up going traditional corporate banking and then opened my own company. And fast forward, I was a single mom and my daughter passed away. And that experience just caused me to reflect on, how I wanted to spend my time, what mattered to me, what was my purpose. And what I realized I was really passionate about was helping other mothers not know the pain of losing a child. And of course, so I migrated into the nonprofit space, really with a focus on inner cities, so domestically. And then I tripped over this organization and they were looking for a CEO. And I thought what they were doing was really interesting. I'd never heard of them before. And fast forward, I was hired to take on the CEO role. Now the organization at the time was solely focused on international humanitarian aid, and I was coming from a space where I knew there was also a strong need within our own local communities, and so we grew the organization to be able to do both. We also have an education program that's in workforce development, which is, a little bit more removed from addressing those inequities. But the education program in itself is addressing inequities because it's opening the doors to careers in healthcare for individuals that might not have had them. And then we were called into the disaster relief space, which we do when we know it's appropriate for us to act. And it's not always. We may not have the partners on the ground. We may not have the right access. So we're not going to do it because there's plenty of other organizations, but we will do it when we feel that we are bringing something to the table that no one else can do. So that's the journey to SOS.
It's always so funny when you prepare questions, but now this is taking me a little far from and I won't have you here long because I know you're a busy woman, but college, what made you want to study that? I know you said you pivoted, but why that
So
interest?
I was always, I mean, I was looking stamps for now when I was 14, right? So I always cared about those who were oppressed, right? Whether it was women, whether it was people in the developing world. And I look at my parents, I mean, they were very, they had big hearts, but they weren't politically active or any, so I don't know. I must have drank from a different, water hose than they did, but I got that passion.
Wow. And then for you to pivot, I mean, not that you have to talk about this or want to talk about this, but did you know your baby was going to pass? Was it a sickness or?
So she'd had some health issues that we'd gotten through. And what she passed from was very preventable. It was MRSA. Um, and so to have gotten through all the challenges that we did and then to succumb to that, that was a blow, right? You kind of feel like you've run the marathon and crossed the finish line, and then suddenly they're like, yeah, no, that wasn't the finish line. No, there was another 50 feet, you didn't see it and you missed it. So the answer to that question is I'd had that fear as we went through health challenges, but then I had the euphoria, knowing we had met those challenges and won. So it was very demoralizing then to kind of have that, out of left field event.
Yes, ma'am. And then I'm going to ask a very dumb question because I know parents who have lost their children. And that dumb question is, how in the world does that feel?
Mm.
And to lose a child, right? And then to be in this space while you're helping everybody else. How does that feel?
Well, I mean, so it's something that only somebody who's been through can really understand. And she was my only child. So, not to diminish the pain of people who lose a child and still have children at home. I'm sure they have a totally unique kind of pain that I can't understand, and vice versa. They can't understand because you've really lost your identity as well. Um, I mean, I did go on to adopt a young boy who needed a family. So I mean, there's a happy ending to that. But I have been in places where I think particularly internationally because it's like I know the stories. I know that woman and baby would have died the night before if SOS had not built a surgical suite so she could have a life-saving cesarean. And I have met that mom the next morning and held that baby, right? So I mean, it's just overwhelming joy. It's just overwhelming joy, knowing that I was able to take something in my life and inspire good out of it. So it's a good feeling. I don't like at all what the impetus to it was, but I also know, and I mean, you don't know this, but I mean, because this is really recent, but my husband unexpectedly died um 3.5 weeks ago. Okay, so then I got dealt a second blow, and what helped me get through it was getting back to work.
Really?
Was getting back to the first day I was back, we got COVID tests out to a safety net clinic. I talked to a partner in Zambia on and helping them figure out, because we've just done this a lot, how to build and equip a clinic in an area, right? Like, what do they need? You know, they're not going to be doing surgeries. Here's what you need. Um, and then meeting somebody who has a physical disability that we've helped equip with a wheelchair. So all of those things, I mean, like I went home and it was hard to wallow in my grief, because look at all the amazing things that we were able to accomplish that day. So I always tell people, when you go through something, find a way to use it that helps better the world.
Mm. You're like a mom. First of all, I am so sorry to hear that. It's number one.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And number two, I feel like you're a modern day Mother Teresa. I mean,
I don't know about that.
I because you put so many things into perspective. Do you think the way that you think and the way that you are is due to you, being a woman, being a CEO? I mean,
I think being a woman definitely plays into that. Um, I mean, not all of us, but I know I had a very kind of nurturing spirit, right? I was also the oldest and I had two younger siblings, so I just naturally I do feel very nurturing, right? I mean, our team at SOS, for the most part, they're really young. And so I do approach it, even my leadership style, as like helping nurture them to the next level. Okay. Our director of operations, I remember when he was hired, he came on as a warehouse associate, and I thought, he's really smart. And I don't care whether somebody has a college degree. Well, he's now second in command. Like, it's like 8 years later, and I've just poured into him, and I do with all of them. The head of our international program, is really young too, and so I love doing that. When I see somebody that's got tremendous heart and potential, I want to help them, achieve that, and so maybe that's being the older sibling, maybe it's being the mother. I don't know. Um, but I strongly feel that we're all here on this earth to make life better for others, really, but I am, um, my church will tell you I'm not even a regular attender, but I do have faith. And the one story that always kind of resonates with me is the Good Samaritan, right? So, like, who are you going to help? And there was this great book that I read shortly after I got to SOS, and it's called A Hole in the Gospel. One of the volunteers gave it to me. And it's the only book I have ever read more than once, right? Like, once I'm finished with the book, okay, I've got it, right? But this one I really wanted to. I think I bought like every secondhand copy. I keep them and I hand them out to people when I think that it'll benefit them. But there's this kind of call to action. And like, who are we supposed to help, right? Is it the people that are closest to us geographically, or the people who need the help the most? And my answer always is, let's do both.
yeah.
Let's do both, right? Because usually the help that they need is different, and you're not precluded like from just doing one. And the other thing, people will often, particularly in this crazy world, where our attention has been drawn so much inward, and rightfully so, because we've got, huge needs in our own local community. But we can do both. And the importance of elevating lives outside the United States, um, there's there one, it's disease containment, right? Have we all forgotten COVID did not start in the United States? So if we can get ahead of certain things, I mean, there's a story where Ebola, like it could have been here in the United States. Like there's a real secret story about that. In a book that I read about pandemics.
Wow.
And number two, those are the markets. Like we want to be a global power. Well, our businesses need markets. Well, if you elevate lives in other places, you're creating a more prosperous community that can be your market. And then there's just national security. Like if we are a compassionate global leader on the world stage, we're building relationships with other countries that are fruitful for everybody, including people here. So I'll get off that soapbox, but I mean, I think we need to do both.
Are you a TED Talk speaker?
No, I'm not.
I You have really proven the importance, in my opinion, of knowing your purpose, like you said, but also faith too. Do you think also faith plays a role in you sort of have a servant's heart?
I do, but like I don't. Yes, I have faith. Um, I don't know. Maybe subconsciously it leads me, but one of the things, um, when there were a lot of refugees coming into our city, there were two churches that were always at the airport.
Okay.
One of them had the rule that they could not talk about religion for like 8 weeks or something. They had to get people settled. The other one sat the families down in the airport and preached to them before even putting them in the car. And I can tell you which organization I aligned, for us to help, right? So
Yeah,
I
I get
like
it.
I said, I don't consider myself like I don't hold my SOS is people will ask like, oh, are you a religious
Sure.
organization? And we've actually lost support because we're not.
Okay.
Um, but what I always say is, well, we'll help anybody.
Mm,
Doesn't matter what their faith is. And I
right.
don't consider my role here to preach to people. I live by example. And there's
Mm,
another great story in that book about a mission team that went, I can't remember the name of the country, but it doesn't matter. They went on a mission and they built schools and they did all kinds of wonderful things. And the people in the village finally asked, like, why are you doing this? And they said, because we were Christians and we believe in helping others. And they left and they came revisited like 5 years later. Well, the village had built a church. The reason they did that was because the example that they saw, not because of what they were told. So
I love that.
right. So I can swear worse than most people, so I'm not sure that my friends would say like, I was laughing like when you said Mother Teresa, I'm like, I can't wait to text them later. Like, I just want you to know somebody thinks I'm Mother Teresa. Uh, I just think it's just about being here and doing what's right, that's all. It's about doing what's right.
I love that. I love that. You are amazing and you are funny too. I think you should also be a comedian. Um, Let me see. Oh my gosh, you're so amazing. Um, what I will ask you is what was or is the biggest challenge you have faced dealing with SOS locally and globally, and how did you overcome it?
Um, well, I think we've had periods of time where there was resistance to supporting international work. And then everybody gets back to it, so there's always that time period where not everybody embraces everything you do.
Sure.
But I don't think that's a call to action to stop it. You just have to find the people where it resonates with. Um, And when you're working in a space where you're helping those, and the whole purpose is you're helping them because they don't have the financial resources or access to help themselves. And therefore, it's not a pay for service model, which means you've got to fundraise and you've got to tell the story and you've got to make people want to support that. And sometimes that's easier, and other times it is more difficult. And so, continuing to build the support for the work, and there, your authenticity is so critical, right? Like you have to really believe in what you do. Um, I mean, I'm not in nonprofits to be in nonprofits. Like if another organization called me and they were like, oh, we want to open a museum, I'd be like, yeah, okay, find someone else. Let's just so you've just got to your core really believe in the work, and that, if you do, then you can help make others believe in it as well. But you can only ask people to do what you're doing yourself.
Mhm. That's a very good point. Very good point. You shared the story of the young lady who was able to get a cesarean and then have her baby. Do you have another story like that, where they had to fundraise for whatever cause, whatever meaning, and just seeing the fruits from it and how SOS has helped?
Yeah. So, now that was an international story,
Okay.
right? That was in Ghana, and I could tell those stories just over and over and over because we've done so much in that space. Um, uh, it was in 2020 that I was part of a task force here in the state of Kentucky that led to the reporting of maternal mortality in our state by ethnicity. Okay. Before that, it was just kind of a one number. And there was, I was at a meeting about 2 years ago, and they were talking about maternal mortality, how it was getting better in our state. But this physician was unable to report on what, you know, by ethnicity. She was just giving, and her answer to my question was completely unsatisfactory to me. And so I went back to our local health program manager, and after the meeting, and I said, who are we working with? Do we have any partners in the Black maternal mortality space? And he said, yeah, we do. So he told me who they were. And I called them up and I helped them write a grant and got them a grant to support their work. Okay, so and now they were able to get safe um play and sleeps for moms, and car seats, so that so I love that story, and I took my passion and I helped another organization, and they're doing so well. In fact, they've beaten us out on a couple of grants recently. So I mean, but that's good. I mean, I'm glad, right? I mean, because they're doing amazing work, and there's, we'll get a different grant, and that they won't. I mean, it all comes out. But so I think that's an amazing story too.
I think it is too, and I think it proves um, sort of, I don't know if it's emotional intelligence or it's definitely that, but there was something that didn't sit well with you. So you went out to get the answer, and once you found the answer, to do something about it. I mean,
Mhm.
that's phenomenal. That's what you teach other people, other women, other humans to do. You don't like the answer? Okay, do your research, collectively get your people to find the answer. And if you don't like the answer, change it.
Well, there's one other thing that I preach at work a lot, and it has in the there's been some amazing things that have happened recently. And it was because, I say to everybody, when an opportunity comes to us and it's something we've never done before, the natural inclination is, oh, this is going to be hard. No, no, we can't do that. Rather than, okay, how can we do that? Right. And so we helped a med student led group open a safety net clinic. And they were like, you believed in us. And I was like, yeah, but it was too easy to say no, right? And then we're helping the Ministry of Health in Ghana with something. An opportunity came, and then it was like totally different than really anything we've done. And it was going to take some real logistical creativity, but the team did it, and now we're going to do something that's really amazing, because we weren't put off by the fact that, oh, this looks hard because we've never done it before. At the end of the day, it wasn't that hard. What it was unfamiliar.
Mm.
And so I just encourage, everybody, like, if you're not, just ask how before you say no. Because sometimes there's a good solution in there and you can make it happen. Sometimes, the answer is going to be no, but don't assume it's no until you've really, dived into it to make sure.
Where did you learn this to not just quickly say no, to hold off a little bit and then say yes or still say no? But where did you learn to not give a quick response?
Um, I think it goes back to, I told you I was a little bit of a rebel growing up. And maybe it's just the rebel coming out, like, wait a minute, what do you mean we can't do that? There's got to be a way to do that, right? Um, yeah, I think, and I mean, I've lived, just a couple decades, and so, I've seen the power of commitment and what you're really wanting to if you really want to make it happen. It's not 100% of the time, but a lot of times you can find a way to do that. So, I mean, look, I was a single mom, like I've had to, like be scrappy sometimes.
Yeah. Oh my, I think you're amazing. Oh my gosh. I just in you never know, and I'm sure you know the power of your words, but you never know the power of your words. And you're just telling me about your life and what you do and how you've helped and how SOS have helped, but it's pouring into me too. And I know it's going to pour into our listeners too, but
Good.
wow. Um, oh my gosh. How can the listeners support SOS? I mean, you all are doing phenomenal work. How can we continue to make sure that you do phenomenal?
Well, so I'll give you the website. It is SOS Health and Hope, and is spelled out .org. And when you go on there, watch the video. I mean, it talks about what we're doing locally and internationally, and at the core of all of it is 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 compassion, but we're doing something, like we're taking surplus medical supplies that otherwise would be thrown away and doing good with them.
Mm.
Right? So we're saving lives, we're changing lives, we're educating, we even have a small piece for animal welfare. So because they can use expired supplies.
Wow.
And I was just talking about my husband, who was like a huge cheerleader of, like, I could come home and say, hey, I'm gonna go to Ghana next week. He'd be like, okay, okay. Like he was just or I'm going to Malawi, or I'm going to Washington. A huge cheerleader. But he also panicked a little bit when I said, I'm gonna go visit one of our animal welfare organizations, because he'd like, please, no more rescues.
Oh,
Don't bring any more rescues home. So that was the one request that he had. And I abided by it, you know. So, but we do have that piece. So, you know, I always say, I don't care what you care about. SOS is doing something that touches what you care about. Some people really care about the animal welfare,
Right. And
right?
that's okay.
Yeah, or they care about, you know, the high child mortality in the world, in the developing world. They care about that, or they care about the fact that we're a safety net for individuals in our own community who are losing their health insurance. Like we are their safety net, making sure that we're supporting the safety net clinics so they have the capacity to serve, and the individuals who don't have health insurance can still get a wheelchair. They can still get medical supplies if their doctor orders it. Um, and so that's how they can help, right? Because that's, you know, SOS is 100% supported by compassionate individuals that are like, yeah, I don't want that stuff thrown away in our landfill when it can help somebody over here. Count me in. Here's my $25. I always joke that um, I wish Jeff Bezos, what ex-wife would find us. Like every day I go to the mail, I'll be like, I wonder if our $1 million check is in the mail today. It hasn't come yet, but
It's
so
going to.
huh?
It's going to.
Okay. But you know what? I will tell you one of the gifts that so caught and like caught my heart was these two high schoolers who came in last summer. And they had been saving their money or raising money, like doing things to raise money. And they came in with $500.
Wow.
And I have to tell you that that to me, I was like, you two are give me hope in the world. The fact that you all cared enough at your age to do something to help others. I mean, like, thank God. Like, you know, the world is going to be in your hands someday, and you just made me feel good about that.
Absolutely. We can trust it in their hands.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with all of the hats that you wear and the roles that you are in, but at the end of the day, when you lay your head down, who do you say you are?
Um, I don't know. I just, you know, I'm already thinking about what I have to do tomorrow. I
Mm.
don't, I don't, you know, I just don't really have the luxury of like, you know, like relishing in like, oh, wouldn't it be, you know, like look how many great things we made happen today. It's like you live it, it's great, and now you've got to immediately jump
Mm.
to the next thing, right? I'm a proud mom of a 19-year-old who actually really pissed me off right before this, so he is in big trouble with me. Um, Um, and I've got two dogs, you know, and I have, you know, wonderful support network. So I, you know, as much loss as I've had, um, I I have a lot of blessings too, right? And you know, when my husband passed away, I thought about my friend who was a widow in the country of Niger, which is one of the poorest countries in the world.
Mm.
And like she's reaching out to me to say, you know, Denise, you know, like we're here for you. And I thought, well, I live in a safe country, um, relatively, and I have a roof over my head, and like what she went through as a widow, like, it doesn't even compare. And so yeah, I mean, I do count my blessings. I really, really do. I mean, yes, I've had hardship, but I also got a lot out of it too, you know.
You are, it takes a lot to leave me speechless. And I've probably been only speechless 2 times in my life. But you are the supreme humanitarian.
Oh, thank you. Now that means a lot to me.
Oh my
That
God.
really does, because I I do. You can't do this work half in. You've got to be all in. But it's really easy because there's the gratitude in the world wherever we go, where whether it's West Louisville or West Africa, um, people are so grateful, and they know when I go there, they know it's not me. They always say, "Please tell everyone thank you." Like they know that there's a whole village. I'm the one there, but there's a whole village behind the work, and they know that. They know it's hospitals, they know it's volunteers, they know it's donors. And so yeah, there's I think I really am blessed.
Wow. Everyone, please support SOS International. Please support Denise, who is I think you have the reign of the humanitarian. I do.
Thank you.
Don't
Thank you.
get that.
And I want to give my email. If anybody wants to reach out to me directly, go right ahead. It is Denise with an S .Sears, SEARS at SOS Health and Hope.org. I'm happy to hear from anybody, answer any questions. Maybe they want to come in for a tour. Maybe they want to come in volunteer. Maybe they want to take issue with something that I said. Happy to have the debate. It'll probably be my son's friends who will be emailing me going, you. Actually, they all love me. They would probably be like, what did he do? We'll come over there and deal with him.
I can see that happening.
Yeah, they'll be like, come on. Whatever he didn't do, we'll come over and do it for you.
I absolutely love that. Thank you for all that.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Really do.
Everyone, this is the Humanitarian Heartbeat Podcast, and I'm going to end with Denise Sears, SOS International. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us on the Humanitarian Heartbeat Podcast. Remember, each conversation brings us closer to a world where compassion thrives. Stay connected, stay informed, and let's keep the heartbeat of humanity alive. Subscribe, share, and be a part of our journey to make a difference, one conversation at a time. Until next time, keep your hearts open, your minds curious, be a blessing to others, and give agape love. God bless.